23rd of March 2023. This is one of those what a fuck moments of mine, and this is actually a follow-up on the one that I did about our dilemma with decisions. And in this one I want to talk about objectivity and the importance of objectivity. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to differ from me, and that is correct. That is how it should be, and you must feel free, to comment, because it is only with participation that we can actually grow. If you stand and you voice your opinions out here in the veld under a tree, talking to the birds, yeah, maybe it will satisfy you and give you some relief, but that's all it is, talking into the wind. It is by participating that you can exchange ideas and you can grow. And this one is, there's some stories in it, and there's some realities in it. So let's go. All of us know the word objectivity, but many struggle with the reality of that. Very few people can really be 100% objective, because society have a strong influence on us, and depending on where you were born and grew up, your objectivity will be muddled by those biases. Recently I came under attack by my Nazi stalker because I dared to criticize the Israelis for what they are doing to the Palestinians. He's also verbally violent about my rejection of what is being done to the Syrians. But I'll come back to this. Let's look at the fact that people across the globe do not all share the same value systems. Why? Basically because the societies they were born in all have different value systems. This means that if Koos was born on Kulini, on a farm and brought up by devoted Christian parents, there will be some basics that will be not negotiable for him. Same for Nasser, that was born in Baghdad with Muslim parents, and Dmitri, that was born in Kamchatka with Orthodox parents. Society will form and structure all of these men. It is extremely important that you take note of this and make sure you understand it. Now, all these preconceptions were fairly easy to maintain by the regime up to the late 80s. The advent of email and bulletin boards, and then later chat rooms, threw a spanner in the works. Suddenly it was possible for you and Nasser to talk directly to each other, and you started to learn more about each other. Things that you like, things that you hate, things you love to do, love to eat. And pretty soon both realized that you are both just human beings. Yes, there are things that you differ on, things you dislike and he likes, but many of these things were merely cultural and societal things. But still, none of these differences are reasons to hate one another, to want to kill one another. Now, if you are open-minded and capable of objective thoughts, you realize that if there was a geographical switch for the two of you, the differences and loves would most probably also be switched between the two of you. If you can manage that, you can claim to be a free thinker. Then Nasser brings Dimitri into the chat room, and Dimitri brings G into the chat room, and the whole story replays itself. And after a while, days or weeks, you realize, fuck, these are great guys. I would love to go fishing, hunting, camel riding, or hiking with them. We are all just humans with desires to live, prosper, and have fun. We don't want to kill one another. This is important. We don't want to kill one another. Then came Skype, WhatsApp, Zoom, and the four of you learned more about each other. Now you can actually see and hear one another. You share photos, videos, voice notes, share music, share details of food, share environment data, and the reality that you four are so much alike is reinforced. Now note, I have not touched religion, and that is on purpose, because me personally, I have the greatest respect for other man's religion, and I'm not so arrogant as to have the opinion that anyone that does not follow my religion will go to hell. Comms channels are now very sophisticated, and you start sharing views on politics and economics, asks lots of questions and discuss lots of discrepancies, and pretty soon all four realize that large parts of their lives were actually lies. The most disturbing realization was that all four of you were lied to by basically the same source, politicians. Up to now, you have kept most of your newfound info to yourself, shared some with your wife, but that is it. Then one night at a community braai, you start talking about some of the stuff you learned from your cyber buddies. That is when the shit hits the fan. You are from a fairly conservative community, and the reactions were astounding. People you thought were friends attacked and verbally abused you. The commotion was so uncomfortable that you gathered your wife and children and left. The next morning, you open your phone and the abuse on WhatsApp was brutal. You are called a Putin agent, a communist lover, a traitor of Christianity. But here and there were messages of people that wanted to know more. So your friend circle shrunk dramatically. But to me, being the fatalist that I am, I saw this shrinkage as a distillation. So all the people that are watching this video could be in one of two groups. You are either an objective thinker or you are a safe zone cruiser. To be an objective thinker is really a blessing and something to cherish. You are roughly part of 20% of the population. You are part of the group that questions basically everything and makes your own mind up. If the scales don't balance for you, you say so and are willing to take the heat for it. It is the safe zone inhabitant that will, on command, jump into a plane and travel halfway around the globe and go and kill Muslims or go and kill communists without questioning the reason, without caring about the fact that those you are planning to kill are ordinary people like you. You are the ideal citizen for a corrupt regime and the perfect tool to achieve their goals for them. Just remember, once you have achieved that goal, you will also be dispensed. The pestilence confirms my theory. Millions are dead or dying because of that safe zone thing. The free thinkers were attacked, deplatformed, abused, threatened, lost friends, jobs, careers, and were labeled anti-quackers. And now today, thanks to Elon Musk, the truth is coming out, and it is not pretty. The free thinkers have been vindicated. Same shit happened around Ukraine. The support for Ukraine defies all logics. Reality is that the regime there is pro-Zazi and are committing horrendous atrocities. The West is financing all of that and enabling all of the violence. People that call themselves Christians denies all the evidence that the regime is openly satanic and evil. They hide their hypocrisy under the slogan that Putin is a communist and the Russians are evil. And then they want to come and post Bible verses on my timeline and in my WhatsApp. To them I say, fuck off, Zazi supporter. Reality is that you cannot claim to be a Christian and yet you support Zazis. And you are okay with the killing of thousands of citizens in the Donbass. You cannot be a Christian. You can claim you are a Christian, but your deeds defies that. Once again, around 80% in the West supports the Ukraine madness, and 20% questions it. But you, most of you have seen facts about Ukraine that is clearly contradicting the narrative, and yet you deny it and sticks to the narrative. The fallacy that the conflict started in 2022 has been proven wrong many times, yet the deniers will still claim Putin invaded Ukraine illegally. Many reports confirms the 14,000 Russians killed in the Donbass, but the deniers wash that out with Putin is a dictator. The atrocities around the child trade, adrenochrome, and organ harvesting are out on the tables, but the deniers refuse to even mention it. Now, my Zazi stalker reckons there is no evidence that the depleted uranium ammo that Britain wants to send to Ukraine is actually toxic, despite the evidence produced by doctors in Kosovo and Fallujah. On the photos I shared with him of babies that were born with serious problems, his response is that the photos are from satanic ritual sites. The man is so brainwashed that it's actually hilarious, and then he has the audacity to call me a criminal for not talking about the human rights violations in Russia. But he is fine with the potential poisoning of the people in the Donbass. It blows the mind. The same Zazi stalker swore at me for criticizing the Israelis for what they are doing with the Palestinian bodies. Things supported by facts, but his subjective mind cannot dissect facts from fiction, and if anything is against his belief, then it is simply bullshit. You can never debate with someone like that and claim it is true. Your problem is you can never negate because it is never reported anywhere. But in his bemuddled mind, that gives him the security that he is right, simply because you cannot prove the contrary. He makes the claim that 80,000 Russian soldiers have walked over to the Ukraine. For fuck's sake. If that was true, the Russian and Ukraine telegram channels will report it. Nothing. But to him, it's a reality and proof that the Russians hate Putin. I'm sure many of you know people like that, and you know from experience that you cannot argue with them. No matter what you put on the agenda, he responds with, Putin is a dictator, Russia is a communist, Putin invaded Ukraine illegally. If you ask about the 14,000 Russians killed in the Donbass, he will throw one of the three above. If you ask about the banning of the Orthodox Church, same thing. Biolabs, child abductions, human trafficking, organ harvesting, all will get one of the three responses. That is the typical conduct of a brainwashed safe zones cruiser. Objective thinkers look at all the facts available, pro and con. Then think about it and weighs the probabilities. Then he makes a decision. If the mixture of information bits are so conflicting that it sounds crazy, the objective thinker will discard the whole pot. The safe zone cruiser will extract 1 or 2 points and run with it. If you see Israeli soldiers shoot Palestinian children, you don't need to be anti-Israel or a Muslim lover to know that it is simply wrong. If you speak out, does not make you a Palestinian supporter or an Israeli hater. It makes you a decent person that looks objectively at the facts, and any decent human being will never condone soldiers shooting children. Bombing civilians in the Donbass is wrong. If you condone it, then you're a Zazi supporter. Denying aid to the Syrian earthquake victims is wrong, no matter what religion or political affiliation you have. If you have no issue with it, or condone it, based on some fucking Western narrative, then that all Syrians are terrorists because they are Muslim, then you are a brainwashed, immoral stooge for the Western regime. Regardless of your religious beliefs, it is totally unjustifiable to withhold food and medicine from millions in Yemen. To any objective thinker, religion or political affiliation makes no difference. The mere act is unacceptable. And yet, there are people that stand indifferent to the evil deed because it's perceived to be Muslims and therefore terrorists. Yet the same people proclaim loudly that they are Christians. What the fuck is that? My Bible teaches me differently. In the late 80s, I had a horrible experience in my business, and after the dust settled, I vowed to never sign a contract with a guy that is known to be a cheater of his wife. Simply because if he cannot stay loyal to his wife, what chance do you have? That is what objective thinking gives you. Regardless of the potential, the risk is real and dangerous, and you avoid it. Objectivity will not always make you popular, but objectivity will tend to make people trust you. Obviously, you cannot always be 100% objective, but with a little bit of effort, you can manage a high average. After all, we are human. When one wants to get involved in these global matters and participate in discussions, it is extremely important not to allow your personal preferences to steer your opinions. Because remember, it is personal and it is influenced by your local culture and other local customs. All things that could lead to huge misunderstandings in the international audience. That is why the ability to be objective and the focus on facts is usually a good route to follow. I really hope this will just make you think a bit. It is sad to see how some people just suck the mainstream media narrative up and never question it. That is important to keep in mind. Objectivity is a word that is thrown around very loosely, but very few people really understand that objectivity is a skill that you can develop, but you have to be committed to it. And then you must understand, once you have made objectivity sort of a second nature for you, you're going to have problems with lots of your friends and family, because all of a sudden you're going to have a tendency not to swallow all the bullshit that they want to feed you, because you're going to look for the facts. And that is something that very few people really appreciate, but many people loathe it, because you make it impossible for them to freewheel with the truth. Thank you for your support, and please give me a like and subscribe and share the thing. And don't forget, comment. That is how we grow. Participating. Thank you.